Here we go. Let's hopefully do this before I have to charge my camera again. Oh. Should we zoom in? I think we should zoom in. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Britt, and if you haven't subscribed yet, you probably should, because I talk about geeky things. And today I'm going to do one of those videos where I sit on my couch with a glass of wine and tell you about the crazy stories about the reasons why I drink. My cat is one of them. She's been driving me crazy. Nova, not a toy. Nothing's a toy, except for your toys. Your toys can be toys. So today I thought it'd be fun to sit down and tell you guys the story of when I worked at PetSmart. So usually I don't mention the companies or people involved, and I still won't mention the names of the people involved in this. I will just call them by their titles, and that is all there is to it. There's a lot involved with this story because this story went on for 2.5 years of my life, and so there's a lot to it. So let's just get started. The reason I'm going to talk about it is because there really is no great way other than saying pet store job, but I've had a few pet store jobs, especially while involved on YouTube. So it's just easier if I just say the name of the company. So let me preface this video with, I have no issues with the company. This is in no way meant to tarnish the reputation of PetSmart. This is only just my experience working for the managers that I had at the time. None of which, there's one manager that I worked for at the time that is still with the company. So I just want to make that very clear. So if PetSmart ever comes across this video, I want them to understand that this is in no way meant to tarnish the name of the company. I still love PetSmart. I still donate to PetSmart charities. I still get my chance doll every year. I still love PetSmart and sing its praises. This was just my personal experience with the management at the store that I worked at, and the company is aware of what happened with me. So how did I first get my job with PetSmart? I was hired at PetSmart in 2010, in November of 2010. It was actually a really weird situation. Do you want to get up on the couch? Come on then, hurry up. You can get up on the couch. Come on, just get up. There you go. Yeah, you come sit with mom. So it was kind of the weirdest times I've ever been hired by a job. So I was desperate. I had moved here, tried to make my life happen as an actor in theater, which should be easy in the Twin Cities because we're one of the best places to actually like do theater. But I just wasn't ready for that world. And so I started trying to get jobs everywhere I could. But I was not getting hired. This was one of the worst years. I mean, this was the years that people were graduating with MDs and still flipping burgers at McDonald's because the unemployment rate was ridiculous. Yeah, it was one of the worst times. It was like it was during the recession. It was a bad time when I left college the first time before I graduated. Put in an application again to PetSmart because it had been 6 months since my last application. And this time, instead of only just applying to the one in Richfield, I applied to anywhere that sounded close. And I got an interview. So I got a call the very next day saying, hey, I just came across your application. Do you want to come in for an interview? Went in for an interview later that day. I was told to go get my drug test done because everybody who works for PetSmart is drug tested. I don't know if that's still true or not, but at the time that was how it worked. Everybody was drug tested. And so I went in and did my drug test the very next day. And the very next day I was called and said, your drug test came back completely clean. We would love to offer you a job as a pet care specialist. I had applied to be a cashier, but because of my pet care industry background, because I had worked at a pet store before that, he wanted me to be a pet care specialist. And I wanted to apply to that position, but I thought specialist kind of scared me off. And he's like, oh no, it's still just an associate. There's no added like need for education or anything like that. It's just simply just the name. And it just to make it sound better. And so he's like, so I mean, you can do some cashiering. I'm like, no, I would love to do the pet care thing. Like that's what I would love to do. So he's like, okay, cool. That's perfect. Let's have you do that. And so that's what I was hired to do. My manager at the time, who I loved, and I wished she would have stuck around because had she stuck around, I don't think any of this drama would have happened. But she was already in the process of leaving. She was going to move to the Eden Prairie location, and she actually almost took me with her because she liked me, and she usually didn't like people who came from pet stores. She liked having people who had never worked at pet stores before and teaching them from the ground up versus having me have worked there already and having to unteach some of the habits that she didn't like. But she liked me, and she was like, "This, you work really well, you're a really hard worker, and you know what you're doing, you know what you're talking about, you don't have a lot of really bad habits. Whoever you worked for before, you know, is a lot like me." And so it worked out. But then my store manager wouldn't let her take me with her, which I wish she would have. Actually, I did at one point go to the Eden Prairie location and be like, can we talk about me transferring? Because I can't handle it there anymore. So the store manager, at the time, I had 2 store managers at PetSmart. And the first one I worked for, he knew nothing about my department. He hated animals that were not dogs and cats. And he actually said one time at a pet care meeting, told the pet care department that he would be a happier person if our entire corridor just went away. That's a thing to say to your employees. And that's why he wouldn't let me transfer, was because he liked me and he didn't want me to go anywhere. He had this intention of eventually promoting me to pet care manager, and that was kind of the direction I was going to end up going. And I liked this idea. So if you've ever seen the show Red Dwarf, I do have a lot of characteristics of River. I am definitely goal-oriented. I am definitely one of those people who needs attention from the higher-ups. I'm definitely one of those people who wants to be promoted 2 days before I start. And so the fact that was the direction that they wanted me to go, that kind of went to my head a little bit. And not that it became a problem, but like it did go to my head a little bit. And there were times I did get a little bossy, but that's not even where the drama comes from. So I can't blame my drama on that, but I did get a little bossy, especially about that dang plant tank. Because at the time, my store had a plant tank, and I took it upon myself to clean it out and make it beautiful. And then I started telling people, you need to start scrubbing that plant tank. And I got yelled at for being bossy, for being an associate and being bossy. Excuse you. So when that pet care manager left, the support manager became the new pet care manager. And she and I got along really well. I was kind of part of their little clique. Our store was kind of cliquey. Nova, why are you climbing my tripod right now? Nova, why are you trying to climb my tripod? So I was part of the little clique, this little pet care clique that they had. So like I got along with her really, really well. And, you know, we had this official pet care business, which was basically just our way of sneaking to the back. We would tell the store manager that it was official pet care business. And so he couldn't argue that because he knew nothing about our department. And so we would go into the back of pet care, which is back behind the tanks, and we would just chat because nobody could hear you, because the tanks were so loud, because the system was so loud, nobody could hear you, and we would just talk. And it was official pet care business. And especially once she became the pet care manager, he really couldn't argue it because it could have really been official pet care business that we were just discussing. Pet care business. Things took a really weird turn when she became my manager. So she actually was dating an associate. And so when the store manager found out she was dating an associate, which was against PetSmart policies, so that he didn't have to fire her, he promoted the other guy. He promoted the associate to the support manager position. It's not how you handle fraternization within a company, but that's how this guy decided to handle it, because he didn't want to get rid of this guy because they were friends, and that was, you know, fraternization in its own right, but that's a whole different situation. So I had actually found out that the two of them were dating at some point. It was at a kickball game where the two of them were off. The pet care manager and the support manager were off, and they were being weird, and somebody yelled, come on, you lovebirds, let's go. And I was like, well, and at first I was thinking that maybe they were just making fun of the fact that, you know, like how when you're in elementary school and you're really good friends with somebody of an opposite sex, and everybody thinks you're dating because, I mean, how dare two people of the opposite sex be friends. And so I thought that that's what we were doing. We were making fun of the fact that they were really good friends. And so I said something too, and they were taken aback by it. And so that next day, the pet care manager pulls me aside. She's like, so when did you find out that we were dating? I was like, I didn't know you guys were dating. And she's like, well, we are, but you said something that night. And I was like, well, because I thought that was just a thing. Like, I thought we were just playing around. And she's like, no, we're actually dating. And she's like, but nobody knows. You can't tell anybody. I had no idea the store manager already knew. And I was like, okay, sounds good. So then the support manager went around and started telling everybody that they were dating and blaming it on me. There was one time where Lindsay, I don't mind saying her name because there's nothing wrong with Lindsay. I like Lindsay. She and I aren't really, we've drifted over the years, but you know, she and I would still consider her somewhat of a friend. But at the time we were friends, and Lindsay said something about how she knew that they were dating, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. She's like, no, like, I know they were dating. The support manager told me. And I was like, oh. And I went up to him and I was like, why'd you tell Lindsay? And he goes, because I knew you were going to tell her anyway. And I was like, I mean, I wasn't gonna, but okay. Because, like, I can keep stuff that isn't my business to myself. Like, that's not my story to tell. That's their story to tell when they're ready to tell it. Like, I don't know what was going through his weird head, but he was crazy. He was legitimately crazy. We're going to get into why he's legitimately crazy in a minute. But he started telling people that they were dating and blaming it on me, saying that I was telling everybody. So at one point, the pet care manager went away for vacation. And the support manager, who did not also go away, so obviously she didn't go anywhere, she was just taking vacation time, he started treating me like crap in the store. Started treating me like crap, yelling at me in front of customers, telling me to do things that I was in the process of doing, and saying that I was not doing them. So do them because I'm telling you to do them, making fun of me because I was taking the job too seriously. Just all these things, just making fun of me. And at one point, the operations manager, or the assistant store manager, saw this happening. And so she comes up to me, she goes, what was that all about? She's the only one that still works for the company. And I said, it's just the support manager being the support manager. It's fine. And she's like, no, that's not fine. So she pulls me into the manager's office and she goes, what's going on? And I said, well, he's been treating me like this for a while. And I've just kind of gotten used to it. And she's like, this is not okay. So she tells the store manager. The store manager comes to me. And this is the part where I could have actually sued him. I could have sued the company. So PetSmart, if you're watching this video after the disclaimer, understand I could have sued the hell out of your company for this one. I told him what was going on, and he didn't believe me. And not only did he not believe me, but when I started getting emotional about it because he wasn't believing me, he asked me, is it that time of the month for you? I had no idea that was considered sexual harassment at the time. So PetSmart, be happy that I didn't know that. Be happy that I didn't sue you for sexual harassment. I didn't know it was sexual harassment until much later, until years later, until I was not working for PetSmart at the time. I was actually working at Caribou at the time, this coffee chain that's in Minnesota and a couple of other states, and learned what sexual harassment actually was because I was actually management at Caribou Coffee. And so, yeah. He asked me if it was that time of the month because I was getting emotional because he wasn't believing me that I was being abused by one of the managers. He was actually a decent store manager at the time and decided to tell the support manager to leave me alone. And the support manager decided now he hated my guts. So when his girlfriend came back from vacation, my manager, all of a sudden now, she also hated my guts. She started setting me up for things. She started writing me up for things that didn't matter. She started telling the store manager that these little things that I would not do were killing the animals because, again, he knew nothing. And she was trying to get me fired. I went from being one of their best employees to the point that he would not let me transfer with the other manager that went off to the Eden Prairie location to being everybody wanted me fired. The entire management team basically wanted me fired. There were two managers at the time. The presentation manager did not want me fired, and the operations manager did not want me fired. But the presentation manager, they were also trying to throw him under the bus to try and get him fired so that the pet care manager could take his job. They're crazy people. But yeah, they were setting him up too. They were setting me up for all kinds of crazy things and trying to get me fired. And this got to a point where I just couldn't take it anymore. And I went to the store manager and I was like, I don't understand why you are all doing this to me. And he goes, we're not doing anything to you. We're not doing anything. You're just not doing your job well. And I'm like, but I'm doing my job the same that I always have. He's like, well, then obviously I have to look at the other pet care manager and see what she wasn't telling me. And I was like, no, that's not it. He's like, I was planning on putting you in a manager position, but I don't think that that's even possible anymore because you just can't freaking do your job. And so he wasn't going to listen to me. The operations manager really had no say. The presentation manager had no say. So the two people that actually had my back had no power in this. So I went to the only person that could give me any power. I went to the district manager. So I met with the district manager at a Panera in the same parking lot as my PetSmart. And I talked with him about everything that had been going on, basically everything I just said to you. And it actually got worse than that because at one point the support manager hated me so much that he made me feel unsafe at work. So if I was opening with him, I would feel very unsafe. Like I did not feel comfortable. I did not feel safe. And when I say I didn't feel safe, I didn't feel safe. He threatened to hit me with his car. He threatened to beat me up to test my karate skills. He would get in my face. He would get very, very toxic masculine. He would use toxic masculinity against me. I mean, just everything that he could to make me feel this big or to make me fear my life, he did. And the store manager wouldn't believe me. Wouldn't believe me during this time because he couldn't handle believing it. So his district manager told him everything. He asked me, are you working today? And I said, no. He goes, okay, good, because I'm going to go walking over there right now and I'm going to talk to both of them because both the store manager and the operation manager were there. He's like, I'm going to go and talk to both of them. I'm done. I think at this point the support manager had actually left the company. But that didn't stop the pet care manager from trying to throw me under the bus. It didn't stop the store manager from believing literally everything she said that wasn't even true. And my life felt like it was over. Like I didn't know what to do. I was so powerless in this. And so finally I had a little ounce of power given back to me. So I came to work the next time and the store manager calls me into the manager's office and he sits me down. He gets in my face and he says, you know what you did and you can't take it back. PetSmart, if you're still watching this video, why do you hire such idiot people? Again, something I probably could have sued the company for because that was not a way to handle it. And I said, I don't plan on taking it back. Because I finally felt like I had some power in this conversation now. And I said, I don't plan on taking it back. Like, this is my life. This is what you've done to me. And you wouldn't believe me. So I went to the one person that I knew could help me feel safe at work. He just couldn't handle the fact that I went over his head to do what I needed to do. And he ended up being moved to another store. And the pet care manager ended up actually being promoted to presentation manager when the other presentation manager finally just left on his own accord. And then the next store manager came. Now this one is a little much lesser of a story, but he was just a genuine sociopath. And I told him that one time. He and I got into an argument and I was like, has anyone told you that you're a sociopath? And he goes, all the time. You have to be a sociopath to get to where I am in life. So, honestly, after working in retail management, that doesn't surprise me. I've come across a lot of sociopaths in retail management. And not that being a sociopath is a bad thing. It just isn't. At the time, I used it as a bad thing because it was just, I felt like, as somebody who is very much not, like, I'm literally the opposite of sociopath. I'm an empath, so I'm the exact opposite of sociopath. So for me, sociopaths are hard to get along with. I want to clarify, I don't think being a sociopath is a bad thing. I'm not trying to make them appear as to be monsters. But for me, I am the exact opposite of a sociopath. So it's very hard for me to get along with sociopaths. It's very hard for me to work with them. And I've come across a lot in retail management. So that's one of the big reasons why I had to leave retail management behind, was because I couldn't handle being around those types of people, because I am literally the exact opposite of a sociopath. And I feel all the emotions at once. I feel everybody's emotions around me. And being an empath is really tough. And so when you're around a sociopath, it's really hard because you can't read them. And that's one beautiful thing about being an empath, is I can read people, and I can't read sociopaths. So I can pick out a sociopath real quick. But the biggest story with him was that he ended up sleeping with an associate and then promoting her. Matter of fact, when he posted a picture of a baby on Facebook, I almost messaged him being like, is that your wife's, or is that the new support managers? I didn't, but part of me really wanted to. Oh, my camera died just as I was starting my ending of the video. So there you guys have it. That is what happened at PetSmart. All of that was happening at the same time that I was going, around the same time that I was going through all that drama in the anime community, so you can kind of understand why the drama with the anime community hit me as hard as it did. I'm in a much better place, which is why I can talk about it without getting too emotional. I was starting getting somewhat emotional, and just because it did fear in my life a lot. But anyway, there you guys go. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys continue. Like I said, if you haven't subscribed yet, you probably should hit that bell so that you can always get notified when I make a video, because you guys like me, and you guys like that I drink wine, right? Anyway, I'm gonna go make some dinner. It's dinner time. It's actually past dinner time. But yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys all next time. Bye! I like when I'm on my phone because I can just do real close up and not have to do that in editing. Don't have to do that in post. I can just do that with my camera. So, just stare at Cosmo for the next 20 seconds. It's good timing, considering the camera's on you for 20 seconds. You got anything to say?